HKTV.
Hi guys, my name is Jiro, or you can call me Tamasuko. I'm a mangaka, and welcome to my road to become one. I actually grew up in a family with no artistic background. Nobody went to an art school before. But I can say that they're quite creative. For example, my older brother used to draw a lot of Dragon Ball characters. My older sister likes to draw and paint with whatever things that comes to her mind. And as for my younger sisters, they just do any wild things. They like to make something out of their wildest imagination. When I was in Japan, I was quite alone. I don't have any friends, or maybe I had some, but they're my mom's colleagues' kids, so they seldom go there. I used to just play by myself with my games, my consoles, and my toys. And one of those hobby also is I really like to watch anime before. So I really like to watch animes like Pokemon, Digimon, Trigun, Rurouni Kenshin, and Beast Wars. So I went home from Japan. I went back here in Bacolod. I used to bond with my siblings by watching anime. We like to watch Tagalog animes before, like Fushigi Yugi, Hell Teacher Nube, Dragon Balls. How I started making comics. I remembered when I was in fourth grade, I had a best friend who was also my art rival. We used to make like a lot of drawings and talk about animes. He was my kind of rival, but also a best friend. Yeah, his name was Aizo. I remember we used to make some comic strips when I was in fourth grade and fifth grade and sixth grade. We used to make that different kinds of stories that based on some superheroes and then animes that we've watched. Our first character that we made was that character called Demon Man. We had a lot of different versions of it, but the funny thing was when I was at that age, we were so afraid of being scolded in Catholic school. So we kind of changed the spelling of Demon Man from D-E into D-I. Yeah. So we used to make those kinds of characters. And also, we made some stories that's quite connected or related to the popular animes before, like Yu-Gi-Oh, Crush Gear, and Beyblade. So we made some crazy imaginations with what we've watched before. We've made some stories that just that's so generic that it's so funny to think about it. So what inspired me most about making a story was because I was a huge fan of Naruto. What's good about that anime is, and also manga, is that it was actually a kind of story that inspires young kids to reach whatever dreams that they want. Even though Naruto started as a really underdog character, like even though he was a really weak and not so smart character, he never gave up. He found his own destiny and eventually he became the dream that he wanted to become a Hokage. So I wanted to be like that kind of person that doesn't want to give up. So the turning point of me creating into more formal kind of comic making stuff was when I joined this online competition of a 12 page comic strip for, I think that was for the Mascara Festival, in an indie comic company called Ice Cream Indie. So actually, my work was accepted. Uh, they gave some good critics about it, and they suggested me to what needs to do more and more about my comic. I was so happy to receive that kind of remark and critic, because that's something that I want to learn more about. Even though that I know that I'm not in a very rich family where I can afford to do summer camps and such, I know my limits as in what financial situation I was in. But that didn't stop me to reach whatever I want. So I decided to contact their editor in chief and ask like, is there any way I can learn more by becoming your apprentice? So they accepted, and I was so happy to be part of that indie comic company, even though it didn't went on that long. I learned so much about them. I was so happy that I learned a lot of things, from the basics to the techniques and to the shortcuts on how to make comics easier. And I tried to apply it in my project that was in my 2014. That was in an 888 Chinatown Square event in Mascara, wherein they allow comic makers to set up a table there to sell their own works. My debut as a mangaka wasn't that really great. Why? Because in that project, I was so excited to make one. I was so hyped, but at the same time, I was overconfident that I can make it on time. But it went so bad that I finished it late. That was like 3 days before the event. I was too overconfident that I can just make it like really easy. Like I can just print it fast. But as a self-published writer or comic maker, I didn't know that printing was so difficult, especially when you try to do the trial and error stuff. I was so embarrassed at that time because I only made like 2 or 3 copies on that event. I was so embarrassed that I don't want to show up. I apologized to the organizer because they were texting me like, "Where are you? Why are you not here?" I had to apologize so much that it went on for like how many days of apologizing, because I promised to show up and set up my debut there, but it didn't go so well, even though there were hype from my friends of, oh my god, Jiro made the comic, but it didn't went well as planned. So that was my first comic ever. The title was Sunless Summer, and that was my bad memory as a comic artist. It actually left me devastated, yet I didn't want to give up my dream. I tried to take that huge embarrassing moment of or failure into something that I can learn instead. I learned how to try to publish earlier, how to print them faster, or at least on time on the event. I also tried to learn to um, do more techniques on how to draw them easy, how to make comics easier, and what kind of software that I can use so it can make me feel comfortable in making them on time. So my practice went on for years, more like it was like 3 years. Yeah, that was 3 or 4 years after I met some friends who happened to be writers. They were Zuki and Ijhime. Uh, they were really young writers that they want they do writing as a part of their hobby. So I first offered them to make comic with me. So I asked them like, "Hey, I'm trying to make a comic and I want to join in that art sale called Syrup Fest. I wanted to create a comic for that. So can you help me come up with a script on my idea of story?" So they were happy. They happily obliged to say yes. I was happy to work with them and create my first quite successful comic called Ghost Memories. I got quite some nice reviews from my friends and then also outsiders. Bacolod people uh, gave me quite some good critic also. But yeah, I tried to learn from those mistakes. My success, I would say, as a comic artist was when I joined that online comic making competition by Likamo Publishing. It was also an indie printing company. I joined that event and I made this Pinoy style supernatural horror called Pugot. I tried to incorporate Filipino customs and superstitions into horror. Much to my surprise, I got a lot of likes and support from people, and I was happy to receive an award that I actually won in that comic. I was so happy and it was so mesmerizing to think that after all these years, I received this award that was in 2019. And luckily, I was invited by the publishing company to make my work in publish there. I was so happy because that was my first time getting involved in a Manila-based event due to being part of that company. So my comics, Pugot and Ghost Memories, was introduced there in Comic Con and Comic Ket in Manila, and I got some good reviews about them. My art was featured uh, in some YouTube reviews of comics, Pinoy comics, and I got some praises from some quite known writers also. As an artist, I want to inspire people to reach for what they want. In my case, I started as a nobody. I started without any tools. I learned for myself. I didn't go to an art school. And I'm also reaching to an age of almost being middle-aged guy. But I want to tell people that no matter what, it's possible to reach for your dreams despite having all these disadvantages. I have an old laptop, I have a small pen tablet, I didn't go to summer camps, I only studied through YouTube and by myself. I had all those disadvantages as an artist, but despite those, I want to show everyone that I can still make art. I can create a story. I can inspire people with my story. I want to show people that it's possible to reach for their dreams, especially in this kind of world where people discourage other people to reach for their dreams because that's the thing that they call reality. But the truth is, reality isn't always like that. What people don't know about it is that you can control your own destiny. That's what I want to show people. I want to show people to reach further for what you want. In my case, I have a bigger dream. I want to go to Japan. I want to make a manga in Shonen Jump. That was my ultimate dream, and finally can publish a comic there. Maybe people will say that you're too old already, or you're they will say you haven't learned so much about comic making. But I don't want I don't want to agree with them. I want to show everyone that it's possible. So I want to tell everyone that please watch me reach for that dream. I think that's it.